With the return of Season 3, one of the things people amongst the Tower of God community seem to be mixed on is the current backstories we are receiving with Yasratcha's division commanders. But after reading the latest Tower of God 494 chapter and learning about Kendrick Diel's backstory, I think I finally figured out why these backstories matter and why SIU is giving us these things in the first place. In short, they are giving us more backstory on who Yasratcha truly is as an antagonist and why he does the things that he does. Instead of SIU giving us a backstory on who Yasratcha is towards the end of the arc, he's feeding us that information indirectly through the division commanders' backstories themselves. Let's take a look at Haratcha's backstory. During this flashback, we actually learn that he didn't even belong to the Lopobia family and instead belonged to a race known as the Rashangs. Some people feared the Rashangs because of the marks on their faces, but others also hunted them because they desired the rare species. And who pops up at the central figure behind this desire? Yasratcha. Yasratcha made an offer to Haratcha, the leader of the Rashangs, to become a feline. Why? Personally, because Yasratcha wants and desires things that people want for themselves. If the Rashangs weren't a desired species within the tower, I don't think Yasratcha would even bother with them. But because he loves to be in control and possession of something desirable, he'll personally pursue it. Furthermore, through this particular flashback, we learn how Yasratcha gets a kick of making inferior beings, Haratcha in this instance, do his bidding. In addition, we also learn how he enjoys making these inferior beings succumb to his level when they didn't want to. Haratcha killed other races to protect his people, which is a noble cause for sure, but sadly lost his identity along the way. So even if a Haratcha backstory isn't the most desirable thing many fans were wanting, if you reread the chapter and pay close attention, this backstory fleshes out Yasratcha as an antagonist in 3 ways. 1. Yasratcha will pursue something if it's deemed of any desire or worth, but he won't settle for mediocre. He'll pursue the leader, or if you look at it from an animal perspective, the alpha male of the group. 2. Once he pursued the strongest and most desirable member of that particular race, he'll make them succumb to his bidding, forcing his superiority complex onto them. In Haratcha's case, forcing him to become a feline. And 3. Yasratcha carefully crafting events on the surface to look like a good guy, but intrinsically feeding into his sadistic nature instead. In this instance, earning enough money to restore his race of proud people back on their feet, but sadly leading to their ultimate genocide, by the hands of their own leader nonetheless, rubbing in more salt in the wound. Now, while it could be argued that the Rashangs being wiped out is no one's fault but their own, the point I'm trying to make is that they still would have been a peaceful, proud race if Yasratcha never interacted with them in the first place. Let's take this a step further and even examine the present story momentarily. In the Cat Tower, we see Yasratcha offer both Bomb and Yama what they desire, in exchange by forcing them to engage in an act they both don't want to commit. Through this, Yasratcha instills his superiority complex onto both characters, in addition into feeding his sadistic nature by watching them kill others for his own amusement. Do you see what I mean? Now, let's explore the Kendrick Diel backstory. Kendrick enjoyed the company of animals more so than people and wanted to pursue a path where he can strengthen that bond and love he has with animals by becoming an animal protecting them. We see this further explored with how he convinces the people in the village he's helping out coexist with the rabbits. Then Yasratcha appears, murders the big frightening flaming head monster that was a threat to the village, and becomes a hero to the villagers. Yasratcha then tells the villagers to murder the rabbits because he's sadistic, of course, but more importantly, this causes Kendrick to confront Yasratcha, claiming how both animals and humans can coexist together. Yasratcha disagrees and then challenges Kendrick's beliefs as to why he is in the wrong, until eventually Yasratcha twists and morphs Kendrick's ideals as an anima into what he believes the true role of an anima should be, which is to dominate things. So what's the moral of Kendrick's backstory? Well, to me, it's how Yasratcha instills his superiority complex by dominating others even on a psychological level. Yasratcha loves playing mind games with people. We've seen him do this most recently with his latest battle with Yama, where he's forcibly instilling fear onto Yama, asserting his dominance on a psychological level. But to bring it back to the flashback, some of you may be asking, well, DJ Milez, Kendrick is still at fault because if he didn't mess with the food chain of events with the rabbits, the villagers would have been okay. But reread that chapter again. Kendrick remedied the situation, but then suddenly, after a long time resolving the issue, a monster behind the mountain appeared out of nowhere? Come on guys, you don't think that it was Yasratcha that planted that monster behind the mountain? Because look who conveniently came to the villagers' rescue when they called in the army. Yasratcha himself. Personally, I believe Yasratcha played 4D chess with Kendrick and planted this elaborate ploy to simply instill his own beliefs on what it means to be an anima to recruit Kendrick in the process. By manipulating events from behind the scenes, he displayed how Kendrick's beliefs were wrong and why his were right, giving Kendrick another hard look into the mirror on what it means to be an anima and to instead use his abilities now for malicious intent, or simply put, make him embrace the dark side of the force. And sadly, we saw how that turned out for Kendrick in the end, and I quote, wonderfully corrupt. So overall, in the micro level, these flashbacks reveal the division commander's past, which is arguably something many people in the Tower of God community are very mixed on, which is totally understandable and completely okay if you don't enjoy them. However, if you look at what SIU is doing on the macro level, on the overall scale of things, these flashbacks are fleshing out Yasratcha as a character, as we see his demeanor and beliefs continuously being fleshed out and explored here. Now, I know we still have a few more feline commanders and backstories we haven't seen yet, such as Haratcha or even characters like Vice Commander McCage. But if Kendrick's and Haratcha's backstory has revealed anything to us, it's that they will both follow the same formula. They are genuine people, having the best of intentions. When Yasratcha suddenly appears, he'll assert his dominance, whether it's on a physical or psychological level, and as a result of this, forcibly having them join his side to fight, and sadly leading to their demise because of it. Yasratcha is deliciously evil, and I'm here for it.